Hi and welcome to your technique session for body pump. My name is Bryce. We're going to cover the main moves that you see in a body pump class today, and we're going to go through a similar format for each one. We're going to cover position setup to start with, that's the position you start in, execution setup, how you move and what happens when you move, and then we're going to look at compulsory cues. These are within the position setup and execution setup, and they're bolded in your notes. So if you've got your notes handy, take a look at those and you'll see some cues are bolded. So we'll be talking about some of those today. And then we're going to have a very brief look at layer 2 cueing. So get ready, here we go. It's better if you actually practice the moves as I go through them, but here's your reference for the key moves in the body pump workout. During the technique sessions, you'll be hearing us refer to the set position. So let's run through that now. So Kylie's going to pick up the bar, and now she's in the set position. So what does that mean? It means that her feet are hip width apart, her knees are slightly bent, her abs are braced, and her chest is up, the chin is in, and she's in the best position to take load. This stacks the joints in the right position to receive downward load that you get when you weight lift. So the set position is the foundation position for lots of movements in body pump, and this is that position. Okay, let's take a look at squats as your first move. Remember, we're going to go through this sequence. Position setup, execution setup, and we'll be talking about some of the compulsory cues here, and then we'll have a very quick look at layer 2. Okay, so Kylie's in the set position right now. So she's got her feet under her hips, chest up, abs braced. The bar is sitting on the meaty part of the upper back here, and then she's going to take one foot out slightly with a toe heel pivot, and that'll bring her feet just outside of hip width. This is your mid-stance squat stance. Then we've got the knees slightly bent, we've got the abs braced to support the lower back, and the chest is lifted, and the elbows just tucked gently in under the bar just to engage the upper back. So that's the position set up for a mid-stance squat. Okay, now let's go into the execution. So she's going to sit her butt down and back, her knees will track forward down to 90 degrees, and then return to the top again. So the execution is butt sits down and back, knees track forward, hips and knees to 90 degrees. Chest stays lifted, abs stays braced. Perfect. So that's position and execution for the mid-stance squat. Now let's go out a heel toe width wider. This brings us into a wider squat, or the wide squat. So now she's going to sit her hips down again. Same range of movement, same cues. This time we probably just focus on driving those knees out a little bit further because the feet are angled out slightly. Okay, so the hips are sitting down and back, knees are tracking forward, down to that 90-degree angle. Okay, so for layer 2, in this position, we'll be focusing on driving the knees out and engaging the side glutes. In the mid-stance, we generally talk about the knees coming forward and engaging the quads. Okay, so let's have a look at the chest press and push-ups that you'll see in the chest track. So Kylie's in the start position, so we'll go through the position setup for the chest press. She's got the bar on the heel of the hands are out towards the collars, and the abs are braced, the lower back is down towards the bench, feet close to the bench. So that puts us in a great position and creates a great platform to perform the chest press. Execution setup, she lowers the bar down until her elbows reach the top of the bench, and the bar aims for the mid-chest level. Up again, keeping the elbows slightly soft at the top. So the bar sitting in the heel of the hands, we're coming down, elbows to the top of the bench, bar to mid-chest level. That's great. So for layer 2 with this move, we're going to open the chest on the way down and squeeze and narrow the chest on the way up. That increases the muscle activation. Good. So while we're doing this, let's have a look at push-ups. It's exactly the same setup, but you're just moving the body on the bench instead of the bar on the body. So the hands are wide again, outside shoulders. The abs are braced to support the lower back, and we've got either knees or toe support here. So this one will need more ab control. So she's going to lower down again. So Kylie's going to come down, elbows to 90 this time, and back up again. Great, so that's the range of movement for your push-ups. Again, with layer 2 cueing, you can talk about opening the chest on the way down and really squeezing and narrowing the chest back on the way up. Let's have a look at deadlifts and dead rows that you see in the back track. So Kylie's in the set position, so her position setup is all about the set position. Her feet are hip width apart, knees slightly bent, abs are braced, chest is lifted, and it's important when you start back exercises that your elbows just turn to the rear slightly to engage the upper back. Chin is tucked in. So that's the position setup. Now let's go into the execution setup for the deadlift. So from this position here, Kylie tips forward from the hip. So you're not seeing any movement through the spine, it's all coming out of the hip, and she's sliding the bar down to her knees and return to the top again. So that's the deadlift action. The bar is staying nice and close to the thighs, and she's just tipping forward from the hip. So keeping the chest up is a really important cue here, because that keeps the movement into the hip. So let's have a look at a dead row. So if we continue that movement down again, Kylie then rows the bar along the thighs into the lower abdomen. Back down again, and then up again. So the bar goes from the knees into the belly, then back to the knees, she returns to the top. Okay, so that's the execution for the dead row, and we can go into a wide dead row, or a wide row. Kylie takes the hands out wider, and now she rows the bar from the knees into the lower ribs, so the target zone just changes slightly. Same technique, this time the elbows are just going out a little wider. That's great. So for your layer 2 cueing for these moves, you'll hear things on the DVD like drive out of the heels, engage the hamstrings, really turn those elbows to the rear, and a lot of focus comes into squeezing the shoulder blades together to enhance the move. So if we go into a dead row, in this phase here, Kylie squeezes those shoulder blades together to get that upper back engagement. That's great. Let's have a look at the clean and press, which you'll also see in the back track. So Kylie's starting in her set position, knees are bent, abs braced, chest up, and the chin is tucked in. So again, we're in that right position for lifting weights. So the first phase of a clean and press is the upright row phase, and this is where we lift the elbows to just under shoulder height, and the bar comes to the lower chest and back down again. So let's have a look at that again. The important thing in this phase is that the bar is staying close to the body. That keeps the bar under control and helps us to train vertical drive out of these muscles. So we've done the upright row, so let's go up to that again, and then we'll go into the clean. So then from this position here, Kylie flips the elbows and drops underneath the bar with her hips moving down and back to clean the bar to in front of the collarbones. Let's have a look at that again. So it's a quick movement. The elbows whip forwards, and you drop in, so now you can start to use your legs. Okay, now the next phase is to drive the bar overhead in the press phase. And this is where we need a big ab brace as the bar comes up over the head. The elbows are slightly forward and the bar just goes straight up. It doesn't go backwards, just straight up above the shoulders and back down again. So let's put all that together. Upright row phase, keeping the bar nice and close. Quick elbows to clean the bar, hips down and back into the squat, and drive up using the legs to assist the bar going over the head, keeping the elbows slightly forward. It's a really functional, powerful move. And the thing that you'll hear about in the clean and press is just getting a little bit of speed in that clean. So once people have got the execution going, then they can focus on one element of it, which is jumping those elbows under really fast so that they can drive up and push out of their legs. Good stuff. Let's have a look at overhead extensions and dips that you'll see in the tricep track. So to start with overhead extensions, we go into a split stance position. So in a split stance position, the foot slides back from hip width apart, the back heel is off the floor, and you sink into the knees to engage the leg stabilizers. Then we lift the plate up above the head, the elbows are in here. So your position set up, split stance, abs braced, chest up, elbows in, ready to lower the plate down to the base of the neck. So execution setup, we lower the plate down to the base of the neck and then extend all the way up to the top, maintaining that really good ab brace here and keeping the chest lifted. That's really important. Okay, so that's the overhead extension in standing. We can also perform this movement in sitting. Let's come down and have a look at that. So in the sitting position, we cross the legs, and then we get that good chest lift here. Having the legs crossed allows us to get a good lift in the lower back and lift the chest, and the execution is exactly the same. So you still need some ab control here. The elbows are staying in, and that range of movement is exactly the same, going from the base of the neck into full extension at the top. That's great. So from here, we'll have a look at some dips as well. So with dips, we support the body on the heel of the hands, fingers forward on the side of the bench. Again, really important here to lift the chest, tuck the chin in slightly. And then from this position setup, then we go into execution setup where we lower the butt down towards the floor, keeping it close to the bench, and then lift to the top again. So we're driving in and out of the heel of the hand, keeping the chest lifted, keeping the butt nice and close to the bench, and keeping the shoulders under control by engaging the muscles at the back to keep the shoulder blades together. Great. So layer 2 for this is all about keeping the isolation into the triceps. So keeping the elbows facing the rear in the dips and keeping the elbows nice and narrow when you're doing the overhead extensions. Okay, let's have a look at the tricep press and tricep extensions that you'll see in the tricep track. So we set up the chest press before, and it's a very similar position here. Feet are the same, nice and close to the bench. Abs are braced to keep the lower back toward the bench. And this time the bar is in a narrower position with the hands above the shoulders. Now this is going to allow us to then set up our execution for the extension. So from this position here, we lower the bar down towards the forehead and then extend all the way to the top. The key here is to keep the elbows pointing down the bench to keep the load on the triceps. The bar is still sitting in the heel of the hands here. Now let's have a look at the press. From this position here, because our hands are narrower, the bar is going to come down to the lower ribs. Remember before in the chest press, it was the mid-chest, but now we're targeting the lower ribs. The elbows stop at bench level and back to the top. One more. Nice. So layer 2 is all about getting the load into the triceps. So that's all about keeping the elbows pointed down the bench and keeping the elbows in as you go back into the extensions. Let's have a look at bicep curls. We start in set position, feet hip width apart, and occasionally we'll use split stance, where that foot goes back, maintaining that hip width distance apart, and you're sitting on the toes of the back foot. Okay, so from this position here, the bicep curl comes from the front of the thighs, and the bar curls up to the front of the shoulders, and back down again. So your position set up, set position, abs braced, chest up, execution set up, you're curling the bar from the front of the thighs to the front of the shoulders. Perfect. Pretty simple technique. Layer 2 is all about isolating the movement into the bicep, and that's all about the elbow position. So the elbow stays into the side of the trunk and your elbows are pointing down at the top of the curl. That keeps the load into the bicep muscles. Chin stays tucked in, chest lifted. Let's have a look at lunges. Now to set up your lunge stance, we use the 90-90 position. So the feet are hip width apart, you slide one foot back into a long lunge and then you just drop down to the floor. This is just for the setup. And you should have a 90-degree angle at the front knee and the back knee, so that back knee is directly under the hip. This establishes your stride length for your lunges and it'll keep everything nice and safe as you lunge. So if you lift out of that position, you should be pretty close to the start position of your lunges. Okay, let's have a look at some load in this position. So Kylie's going to support the bar on the meaty part of the upper back as we saw in squats. Feet hip width, slide back towards that 90-90 lunge length. And so this is her start position. So the hips are nice and square here. Sometimes people's hips rotate a little bit with that back leg going to the back. So the hips are nice and square. This front knee is directly aligned with the middle of the foot. Chest lifted, abs braced, chin slightly in. And from this position here, we can drop down to the bottom of our lunge, which we see when the front thigh is parallel. Okay, so position set up, knee directly over the middle of the foot, abs braced, hips and chest square. And then we drop down through the execution until the front thigh is parallel, so you're getting that 90-degree angle at the knee. Okay, so there's lots of different options with lunging. You can use a plate or you can just use body weight. And occasionally we move backwards and forwards into a backward stepping lunge so that we've got a more dynamic action happening. Okay, so layer 2 focus here is often on the butt and the quads. These are our target muscles, and it's finding ways of really hooking into those muscles, driving out of the front heel or making sure we're pulsing in and out of the bottom of the range to hit the quads. Let's have a look at some of the free weight exercises that you see in the shoulder track. We're going to start with the rear deltoid raise. So Kylie starts in set position, knees are bent, hips go back, tipping forward from the hip. The eye gaze is about 1.8 meters or about 6 feet ahead, which is where we're normally looking when we're in this type of position. From here, she's going to execute the rear deltoid raise. So we're lifting the weights out to the side, we're focusing on squeezing the shoulder blades together, the elbows are slightly bent and they're stopping at shoulder level. So this is targeting the muscles of the upper back. So that chin stays nice and tucked, abs braced, chest is lifted as you tip forward from the hip. Perfect. Now let's come up and look at a lateral raise. So from this position here, the elbows bend to 90 degrees and then we lift up so that the elbows stop just under shoulder level and back down to the side again. The elbows actually stay slightly forward of the shoulder as well. Okay, so it's the set position. Our position setup is all about bracing the abs, keeping a nice firm foundation through the chest, keeping the chest lifted, and then the execution is lifting the elbows so that they stop just under shoulder level. Sometimes we will do this in split stance or step standing, where we use this position to just create a more dynamic feel into the movement. Great. So from here, let's now look at a rotator raise. So we come up into that lateral raise position, and then from the same elbow position, we rotate the plates upward and back down again. So it's up through the lateral raise, maintain this position with the elbow, and then rotate the plates backwards. Now the key here is that as you rotate the plates backwards, you can just get a little pinch in between the shoulder blades to activate the upper back muscles. The plates stop when the forearms are vertical, and you're keeping those elbows just slightly forward of the shoulder. From here, let's have a look at a pec deck. So from here, we then bring the elbows together into the sagittal plane here, and then open them back and together again. So we're getting scapular protraction. On the way back, we squeeze between the shoulder blades, and as we come forward, we're getting that little bit of tension in the chest. Okay, then the last position here is we go up into an overhead press. Elbows are staying slightly forward, so we're coming from elbow position just slightly below shoulder level, and then pushing back up the top. So with all of these exercises, they're coming from a position where the elbows are just slightly lower than the shoulder. That reduces the chance for impingement. So layer 2 is all about getting into the intrinsic muscles within the shoulders, using the shoulder blades and really focusing on those shoulder stabilizers that help us with all the other exercises that we do. Let's have a look at the shoulder press. We begin in set position and then take one foot back so that we're in that split stance position, and then clean the bar to the front of the chin for the shoulder press. So we've got everything nice and stable here, good ab brace, chest lifted, bar sitting in the heel of the hands at chin level, and then we drive the bar straight up so the elbows are still slightly forward at the top, big ab brace as the bar goes above the head. So let's have a look at that again. So it's chin to ceiling, keeping the bar in the heel of the hands and keeping a nice firm ab brace here and keeping the legs engaged by sinking into those legs. Okay, and then we have a variation of this, which is the push press. So the push press, where we'll use more knee bend as we come down, and the bar comes slightly lower to the collarbones, and then drive up out of the legs and push the bar overhead. Again, every time the bar moves overhead, we need that reminder to keep the abs engaged, keeping the elbows slightly forward at the top of the movement to avoid overextending the shoulders. That looks good. Okay, so layer 2 is all about isolation and the shoulder press, and then integration as you start to use the push press.
Now that you've gone through all the technique, let's put it to music, because music is the key. We want to move with great timing and great range of movement. So with the timing, focus on building the tension by making all the moves seamless. Let's do it to music. Okay, set position, bend your knees, pick up your bar, nice lightweight, feet under hips, roll your shoulders up, back and down. So we find our strong set, slow deadlift. Just down to the knee, and then slowly rise. And again, so we're hinging from the hip, pushing the butt out, bracing the abs, 2-2, same place, down, down, up, and up. So just get a feel for that timing. So it's smooth down, and then smooth out, just getting to the top. New move, single dead row. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's knees, belly, knees, set. Elbows in. Then we squeeze the shoulder blades right there. Then we stay for a triple. 3 times. 2 times. 1 more. Feels good. Okay, 1 more set. Good work. Now you're going to jump your hands out wide for a triple wide row. So the bar comes higher, up to the ribs, 3 times, then back to set. So lots of knee bend, core strong, elbows high and wide. Set, roll the shoulders, up, back and down, and then just slide your hands back into set. Upright row, 2-2, up, up, down, down. So the bar stops, lower chest. Elbows are high and wide, and feel your butts really close to your body. So warming the shoulders, elbows just slightly in front of the shoulder line. Now we put it with the clean and press. Slow one first. So we pull up, elbow sneak under, push it up, hips sit back, and release. One more time. Pull, catch, press. Same thing, little faster. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Bend, push, strong ab brace right here. And the hips sit back. Now last one, hold it up, bar on the meaty part of the upper back. Set the feet so they're into a wide stance. Toes slightly turned out, elbows forward, lift the chest, super slow. Hips are gonna sit back and down. Knees push out. Yes. Single, down, up. So we start to get the range here. Back just above your knee line. Keep pushing your knees out so that engages the glutes. Now timing, bottom half slow, 2, down, halfway, down, push up. Again, down, half, down, all the way up. That's gonna build the tension. Stop, feet in, bars out, 2 small plates. So let's warm up through the shoulders. Set position, sideways, 2, 2. Down, down, so feel the beat, 1, 2. Now rotate a raise. So we hold here, open up, squeeze the shoulder blades, bring it down and in. One more. So this is gonna integrate the whole upper body. Yes. Now single time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So lots of knee bend, strong set, strong core. 2 more times. Now fast transition to lunges. Plates are gonna hang long, long step back, drop and stand. So the back knee's going down, front knee's pushing out. Front thigh parallel. 4 to go. Posture is really strong. 2 more. Last one. Done. Plates together. Now this is a wider stance. Let the plates hang long and it's all about your posture. Squeeze between your shoulder blades. Slow squat down. Keep pushing the knees out. Single time. So this is going to get us ready for our big squat track. Hips sit back. Feel the timing, even on the singles, down and up. Last one, separate the plates. Lunges, other leg, drop, stand. So we're nearly there, core strong, everything square to the front. Last 4. 2 more. Last one. Step in, roll your shoulders, and strong set to finish. Excellent. So that's our warm up. Timing and range is the key to this workout. So keep working so your timing is seamless and it builds that tension over time, gives you great results.